welcome to Essentials class. This class is the last regular class of our year, and we're going to have quite a few review things that we're going to be doing. It's going to be a little bit different, especially because I don't have a class here to ask questions to, but I'm going to go through our weekly class, which let me show you, if you all can read this, I hope you can. We're going compound complex like we have been, all purposes, pattern SVT IODO. We're going to be reviewing parts of speech, adverbs, verbs, and our new one is going to be going over subjunctive mood. We are reviewing all of our charts. We're actually going to be reviewing just a few of them specifically that have to do with the adverbs and the verbs, and then all of our tasks, which is mostly you all are going to be doing at home. We are going to be introducing our final verbal today, which is going to be fun. I'm actually going to kind of put them all together in a sentence. We'll see how that goes for you all to be able to understand it. So we're just going to kind of dive right in here. And I'm going to start with this sentence that I put up here. To learn is an exciting venture. Now, I chose this sentence because it has something kind of unique in it. And it's actually things that we use in our language pretty normally. We just don't ever think about what they are. So I'm going to talk about to learn, and I'm going to talk about exciting, okay? So to learn is, if you haven't guessed it yet, our infinitive, right? To learn, an infinitive is to plus a verb, used as a noun, adjective, or adverb. And in this sentence, we're actually using it as a noun. It's our subject, right? And then exciting is also a verbal, and exciting is an ing noun, right? It's a present participle noun, and it's being used as, right, a modifier for venture, so it's actually being used as an adjective, just like we did last time, okay? I'm gonna go over these. So, of course, you have your verbals chart. We have already done infinitive and participle. We actually do them out of order. We've done infinitive and participle. This week we're going to be doing gerund, which is pretty fun to do. Infinitive is to plus a verb, used as a noun, adjective, or adverb. To fly is my desire. To fly is the subject of the noun. Just like to learn is the subject of this one. Subject of the sentence is what I meant to say. The participle, a participle is a verb usually ending in ed, en, t, or ing. Flying machines are fascinating. Flying tells what kind of machine. So it's an adjective in this sentence, right? Flying machines. So it's being used to modify machines, just like exciting is being used to modify venture, right? So we are going to come back to this sentence and add on to it a little bit after we finish doing a little bit of review on adverbs and talking about subjunctive moods, okay? So this week, what I would do is take out you really should be reviewing all of your charts, but what we're going to be doing is specifically reviewing your adverbs chart, okay? So take it out and just kind of quiz yourself what you know about adverbs. Maybe have your parent or your sibling quiz you about what you know about adverbs. And most of us have had the definition of adverbs for a while because we do that in foundation. So if you've been in CC for a while, you may know it, right? An adverb modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb and answers the questions how, when, where, why, how often, how much, to what extent, and under what condition, right? We have types of one-word adverbs. A simple adverb, a one-word adverb with no suffix. A flexional is an adjective plus ly, so it would be an ly adjective. Affirmative would be yes, certainly. It means it's basically saying yes, this is true. It's giving like an emphasis to it, right? A negative is a no, not, never, right? Your degrees, positive would be swiftly, right? Comparative would be more swiftly. So you're basically upping the ante every time, right? Superlative is most swiftly. Types of multi-word adjectives. The boy ran in the field, right? That's a phrase. It's also a prepositional phrase, but it's a prepositional phrase that answers one of these questions, right? How often, when, where, how, why, how often, how much, those kinds of things. And it's answering questions for the verb, ran, right? You all can look at your chart while we're going over this. If it would help you, you can rewind. The boy ran in the field. So even though it's a prepositional phrase, it's a prepositional phrase being used as an adverb, okay? Also clause. We've done a lot with clauses this year. So when we talk about clauses, usually our clauses are either adjectival or adverbial, right? So we're talking about adverbial clauses in this one. The boy ran when his father called him. When his father called him is a clause, but it's answering the question, when did the boy run, right? And it's modifying ran, which is our verb. It says sometimes a noun can be used as an adverb. We ran home. We ate pizza yesterday. Okay. We like to throw people off with the English language stuff. But be sure you go over your adverb chart this week and use this time as a review time, because this is the last regular class week that we have for our year. All right, verbs is the other thing that we are going to be reviewing, and the thing that it actually has that we talk about this week is going to be the mood. And mood might be something that seems a little bit unclear, but if you actually take a little bit of time to just study this chart and see what it is that it's trying to tell us, it's really not as hard to kind of figure it out, okay? Indicative makes a statement or asks a question. So if you see a verb being used to make a statement or ask a question, then you know that it's going to be indicative. Imperative states a command. We know about this with our imperative sentences, right? So if you're telling someone to do something, that verb is going to be called imperative mood. Subjunctive implies a condition contrary to fact or expresses a wish. This one is the one that is a little bit more ambiguous, I think. And even with this one, though, it's not that hard to figure out. Again, if you keep going back to this and look at it and try to figure out, okay, well, it's not this and it's not this, so maybe it would be this one. If only your bed were made. I wish my bed were made. So if you're implying something that isn't in existence yet, or it's a wish, it's a kind of a fairy tale or whatever, it also says contrary to fact. So it's not something that's real right now. Okay, then that would be subjunctive. Okay. All right, we're going to. So I'm going to go back to this sentence, and we're going to play around with it just a little bit, okay? So we already have to learn and exciting, which are our infinitives. And our participles, right? These are both verbals. And we have a third verbal that we're going to introduce today. And we're going to play around with our sentence a little bit. And I would love for you all to do this at home. So if you can get a piece of paper and play around, and maybe even come up with some that are your own. I'm going to use an example because I picked out the words specifically to be used for this class. But this right here is what kind of sentence? It's a simple sentence, right? That's it's the first sentence that we learn. It's very easy. That's why they call it simple. And it only has one independent clause, right? So, but we are supposed to be working on compound complex sentences. So we are going to take this and we're going to make it into a compound complex sentence, okay? So what I'm going to do first is I am going to add to learn is an exciting venture. And I'm going to say, to learn is an exciting venture, and excelling should be our goal. Now, what kind of sentence did that make it? We went from a simple sentence to, have you guessed? It's a compound sentence now, right? So excelling should be our goal. Now, the reason that I chose this is because this word right here is actually our third type of verbal that we're doing this week. So our third type of verbal, we'll go back to our verbal sheet, if I can find where I put it. Our third type of verbal is gerund, okay? And a gerund is a present participle verb form used as a noun, right? So it's going to be an ing. Now, this is very much like the participles that we learned last week. It is a participle, but it's only a specific kind of participle, and it's always used as a noun, okay? Whereas participles can be used as an adjective. The present participle in a gerund is used as a noun, all right? And infinitives actually can be used as a noun, adjective, or adverb, okay? So get to know what they're used for, and it'll be a lot more easy to find them in a sentence, right? To locate them and to be able to figure out what they are. Also, of course, infinitive always has to in front of it, okay? So gerund is a present participle verb form. Excelling means it's happening right now, right? It's a present participle. And it's used as a noun. So this is a noun in our sentence. So to learn is an exciting venture, and excelling should be our goal. Now we have a compound sentence. Excelling is our gerund. Right? Excelling is our gerund. So we just managed to put all three verbals in one sentence. Now, what we're going to do next is we have to take this and we have to turn it into a compound complex. So you have to add a, let's see. We have to add a subordinate clause. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the clause, I'm going to take the period out. I'm going to put as, oops, oh, I need my cloth. As essentials students who love learning. So I actually added on two different clauses, right? So now we have to learn is an exciting venture, which could be a standalone, right? Excelling should be our goal, which could stand alone also. And then as essential students cannot stand alone, right? And who love learning cannot stand alone. So I actually made it two independent and two subordinate, right? So we could take out right here and stop at students as essential students, and we still have our compound complex, right? So what I want you to do is to look this week at your verbals chart, this verbals chart, and I want you to figure out as many words as you can that would fit into these three different types of verbals. You could even list them, especially if you have it in a plastic sheet. You could list some of them there. And then I want you to practice writing a few sentences using it. See if you can get a compound complex sentence, okay? But just make sure you identify whatever kind of sentence that you have and write a few of them, all right? That's your little homework since our classes are shorter these days. It's something that maybe we would do in class on the board, but it would be good if you could get so familiar with it that you could write a sentence like this and use these and really understand how they're to be used in your sentences, okay? And what they are. Because we really do use verbals all the time. It's so funny because before teaching essentials, I didn't give much thought to verbals, and I don't think a lot of people do. And once I started teaching about verbals, I thought we use those all the time. It's such a normal part of speech, right? But when you look at a sentence, it kind of throws you off because you think, well, that's a verb, and you have to know what to look for, which is why studying your chart is such a great idea. You have to know what to look for to be able to say, oh, of course, that's an infinitive, right? So, all right, the next thing that I'm going to do with you all is I'm going to erase my board, so I'll probably pause the video for a second. We're going to do one example of a sentence that we're going to do together on the board, okay? So then I'm going to walk you through it. So, okay, our sentence. The farmer will till the soil that is rocky, and he will also give the horses some dry hay. So we're going to do question confirmation with this one. And we're going to go through and we're going to label it, and I would like for you all to do this at home. So get out either your ATS sheet or just a piece of paper, however you want to do it. And we're going to diagram it also as well. So we say, let's take the first independent clause, right? The first independent clause. Who will till the soil that is rocky? The farmer will till the soil that is rocky. So this is our subject noun. What is being said about farmer? The farmer will till, right? Will is our helping verb. Till is our verb. So we're going to say verb helping, verb. Some of y'all have probably figured out what kind of verb this is, right? Will till what? Will till the soil. Does soil rename till? Does soil rename till? It does not rename till. So it's the direct object, right? It does not rename it, so it's our direct object. And that makes till what kind of verb? It makes it a verb transitive, right? Okay, this is our verb transitive. And then we have the, and we have the. They're both article adjectives, right? We'll say AA for those article adjectives. You can label them differently if you'd like. Okay, now we're going to take our dependent clause, our that is rocky clause, right? It's our dependent clause. What is rocky? That is rocky. That's a subject pronoun. Subject pronoun. What is being said about that? It is. Is the verb, right? It is what? It is rocky. Does rocky rename that? Does rocky rename that? It does, so it makes it, what is it? A PA, right? A predicate adjective. So this is our predicate adjective. This is our linking verb, right? Verb linking. Now we're going to take our second independent clause. Of course, and is our conjunction. Conjunction. Okay, and we're going to say, who will also give the horses some dry hay? He. A lot of times we'll say who or what is the sentence about, right? We could say who or what is the clause about. The clause is about he. So he is our subject pronoun. And what is being said about he? He will give. So what types of verbs are those? The will is a helping verb, right? So we're going to put verb helping. Will give, right? This is our verb. Will give. And will give what? Will give what? It's a lot of words still. He will give hay, right? Does hay rename he? Does hay rename he? It does not. So that means it's direct object, right? Just like the top one. So it's a direct object and our verb is transitive. This is our direct object. Now, we have a lot of words still in between there though, right? So he will give hay to what? To what? To horses, right? So it says he will give hay to who or what? We say to who or what, right? Horses. It's going to be our indirect object. Horses is our indirect object. The is our article, right? Article adjective. Give the horses some dry hay. What kind of hay? Dry hay. How much hay? Some, right? These are both adjectives. This one answers what kind. This one answers how much, right? So we're going to say adjectives. Adjectives. And what's left? Will give to what extent? That's a harder one, right? He will give it to what extent? Also answers the question to what extent. That one's a little bit difficult, I find. But we're gonna name it our adverb because it answers the question to what extent. Okay. So now we have all of our words labeled. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see if I can do this in the space that's left. We're gonna try and do it with the space. So we're gonna go ahead and take. I'm gonna do the line so we have space to do it. So I'm gonna try this anyway. We'll see. Anyway, all right, now we're going to go ahead and do the subject is the farmer, right? checking our first independent clause. The farmer, I'm gonna put the farmer will till, this pencil, will till what? Will till soil. We put a half line before our direct object, right? Will till soil, and then we have to add in what's missing, the soil. Of course, the is gonna go here. Will till the soil. Now our little independent right here, that is Rocky. What is that modifying? What is it modifying? Is it an adverbial or an adjectival? This right here, that is Rocky. So that is Rocky is modifying the word soil. So we're gonna put it off of soil, right? Like this, we're gonna say, that is Rocky. That is Rocky. Sorry, y'all, this is a little bit sloppy. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to put our and. Okay. So then we're going to go on to, and he will also give the horses some dry hay. So our subject is he, and then will give, right? Will give, he will give, who or what? He will give horses. Remember, we say he will give, we say, our chickens are making noise. He will give hay to the horses. That's how we say that, right? But we put the indirect object in the middle, right? So he will give the horses hay. So we will say horses hay. Okay, that's how we do that. Now all of these little adverbs and adjectives have to get plugged in there. So also, remember also how we said that also is answering the question to what extent. So he's giving it to what extent. So it's going to modify will give, right? So also. And then, where are we? The horses. Of course, that's under horses. The horses. And then some dry hay. So we put it like this. Some is modifying hay, and dry is modifying hay. All right, we are moving on to IEW, and we're still on Unit 9, just like I had introduced Unit 9 last week. We're on the critique model, which is used for, it's kind of a replacement for book reports, all right? It's a way of analyzing a story, right? And we use the same thing as our Unit 3 story sequence chart, which is characters and setting, conflict and plot, climax and resolution, excuse me, for our 3 body paragraphs, or sometimes it's a lot more than 3, right? But for this particular unit that we're doing today, and the one that's in our book, we're only using three body paragraphs. This week we're going to add our conclusion and our introduction. Remember, we do the conclusion first, and then we do the introduction last. It just kind of flows better doing it that way, all right? So we are still on Genghis Khan. Same thing from last week. So you're going to take what you did last week, and you're going to add an intro and a conclusion to it. And we're going to go ahead and go through, what is in the book for that. And I'm just going to give an example of it, okay, from the teacher's manual. But really, you all could do this on your own. You don't even have to go through the one that I'm doing. I'm sure you all could do this yourselves. But we will go through it anyway, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what your overall impression is of the story, okay? Maybe it would be a good idea to go ahead and read the story through again. I could do that right now, actually. Let's see. I'll go ahead and read it through again, okay? Just so you don't have to go scrambling. Genghis Khan ruled the huge Mongolian Empire in the early 1200s. He was a ruthless warrior and a respected king who commanded multitudes. When he was not at war, the Khan enjoyed his favorite sport of hunting. And when he hunted, his loyal hawk always accompanied him. His hawk was his best friend. He loved his master, and he loved hunting. With his keen eyes and his master's great skill, their hunting expeditions were always a success. One day, while on a hunt, the Khan wandered farther than he had intended. In an intense chase, a deer had led him out of the shade of the forest trees, and he found himself in a barren field, with the sun beating down on his head. He was hot and thirsty. He had to find water. Soon he had stopped pursuing the deer, which had disappeared anyway, and headed back to the forest to look for a stream. As he approached the forest, he heard the soft, constant trickling of water. He followed the sound. It led him to a high cluster of massive rocks, over which a small flow of crystal clear water fell. It was a welcome sight. The Khan quickly took his cup from his pack and placed it under the stream. When the cup was filled, he brought it to his lips, anticipating how cool and refreshing it would be. However, before he could take a drink, his hawk swooped down and knocked the cup from his hand. The Khan was stunned and angered by the apparently cruel action and shouted, "You crazy bird, you've spilled my water all over the ground." The Khan picked up his cup and again filled it with water. But again, when he lifted it to his lips, his hawk flew down and knocked the cup from his hand. "Insolent bird," he yelled, as he waved his arms at his hawk. "You'll not deprive me of a drink a third time." With that, the Khan readied his sword. When the bird dove for the cup a third time, the Khan struck him with his sword. The bird plummeted to the ground dead. Now, by the time the Khan retrieved his cup, the flow of water had diminished so much that the cup was only filling one drop at a time. Impatiently, the Khan decided to climb higher to find the source of the flow. As he neared the top ledge, he spotted a large pool. As he looked closer, he was aghast at what he saw. In the pool was a dead viper, cut at the throat so that all of its deadly venom had spilled into the water. "What have I done?" he lamented, for at that moment he realized that his hawk had only been trying to save his life. "I have killed my best friend. What a rash fool I was not to have trusted him and to have let my temper consume me." With that, he climbed down the rocks, picked up the stricken bird, and headed home. He had lost a friend, but he had learned a valuable lesson he would never forget. Now, in your book, we're on page 242 and 243, okay, for the conclusion and the introduction, KWOs, all right? And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of talk about overall impression of it. Now, yours may look different than this, okay? You can have a different opinion of this. It's very, very personalized. When you are writing a critique model of a story, it's going to be very, very personal to the person. So whoever is writing it, it's going to look different from person to person. But we will kind of talk about maybe some of the thoughts that we could have about this particular story so that you can go on and do it the way that you would do it. So Genghis Khan and the Hawk, I would say it's a very hard story because it kind of breaks your heart, right? It does end up with a powerful message, but it's kind of heart-wrenching. You know, you could call it gut-wrenching. So we're going to write heart-wrenching, and we're going to write powerful message, okay? Powerful message. So you can say, what do you like or dislike about the story? This is in your book, the questions that you can ask yourselves. What do you like or dislike about the story and why? Your comments may be related to the characters, conflict, climax resolution, or style. Okay. What does the story teach? Did it do so effectively? And the last thing that we're going to do is talk about whether or not we agree with the message and why. And could everybody benefit from it, or why not? If you don't think that they could, really the ending is going to be your opinion of it. So we're going to say one of the suggestions here. I'm just going to kind of go off the suggestions here. So one of the things that they talk about in here is that the characters are intriguing because Genghis Khan is real, right? So this may be a bit of a fable, but Genghis Khan was a real person, and we know that he was very brutal. He was very strong. He was a warrior. and had a bad temper. So he could have done something like this. So if this is a legend, it may actually be a real legend. So we could say that it's the characters are intriguing because Genghis Khan is real. Okay, because Genghis Khan is real. You can think about the characters. Do you like Genghis Khan? Do you like the Hawk? Do you think that the Hawk is a good character? We could say the Hawk is likable. We'll call him H. We could say that the Hawk is likable, and then why would he be likable? Because he's so loyal, right? He's likable and loyal. Okay. Let's see, we will do, it's surprising when the Hawk starts knocking the cup out of his hand, right? You don't really expect that from this loyal Hawk. So you could say it's a mystery. It's got good mystery for a moment because the Hawk knocks cup, right? And then of course there's more mystery when he climbs up the cliff, right, or the rocks, the rocky area, to find the viper. So you can say, you know, there's further mystery. Surprise. Genghis Khan finds viper. Okay. Finds viper. It's really hard to write from the side with this pencil. It's got a very powerful theme because I think it's both shocking and extremely sad when he knocks his hawk down dead. So you could say it's powerful. And then I'm going to add, this isn't one that they suggest, but I'm going to add extremely sad, right? Because the hawk, we'll put 2 X's, right? He dies. And then what does Genghis Khan come to? So then he comes to realize that he did not trust. He didn't trust. And he was angry, which led to extreme regret, right? Regret. So when you get to the end, you can say, what is the message? What does it teach? Do you agree with the message and why? That would be the opinion part that you would put at the end. So we'll just say something like, because you can figure out what you would want to say. You can say everyone can relate to anger, right? And I would even say like acting rashly or doing something that they regret. You know, everyone could definitely, I think, relate to that. Everyone does it. Now, some people are more prone to being that way and some people are less prone, but I think that's a very human thing, right? So these are just some ideas. Yours should look like what you think that it should look like, okay? Now, we're going to go on to the introduction over here, and we're going to start out by talking about some of our attention getters, right? You can do all kinds of attention getters, right? But right now we're going to just kind of say something pretty general, like if I was writing the sentence, it would be something like, there are times in life where, or there are times when our life teaches us a very hard lesson, right? Or times when life is a very hard teacher, right? Or something like this, a difficult teacher. So we're going to just say something about life teaches, right? And maybe hard. Okay, you can put it how you want. Life teaches and hard. We don't actually know who the author of this is, so you're supposed to talk about the title and the author. We're gonna call it Genghis Khan and his hawk, and we're gonna say author unknown, but it's retold by Al Verstegen or whatever his name is. So retold by LV. You guys can write his name out. Published by IEW, so you put your publisher and date. This is all on page 243. If you can look on the left hand side next to your KWO, it tells you what you should be writing. Okay, so this is a pretty easy part. Published by IEW. IEW 2018, I think. Yeah, 2018. All right. So this is just what we write in our introduction sentence. What type of story? This is a classic moral tale, right? Moral tale. The background of it is that Genghis Khan is historical. He's a Mongolian king, actually, right? That's a terrible crown. Oh, well. From the 1200s, right? 1200s. Hope y'all can see that. And we'll end with, he learns a tragic lesson. Now, I'm going to remind you all, when you're doing your introduction, you don't want to give away every detail of how it ends. So you see how we say he learns a tragic lesson. You do not want to say he kills his bird, okay? Because basically what that would do is it would ruin the story. It's you're giving the end of the story away at the very beginning. So you're not going to want to do that. You want to be subtle or somewhat ambiguous when you talk, okay? When you write your introduction and as you're introducing it, okay? You don't want to give away everything. Same thing for your body paragraphs, all right? You don't want to give every detail away in your first body paragraph, right? So you want to make sure that you kind of keep interest going. So that's why we say something like Genghis Khan learns a tragic lesson. Okay, that way the person who is reading this, who has never read this story before, doesn't know at the very beginning that he kills his bird and he goes home without his bird. Okay, it keeps them interested, right? So we're going to leave this, I think, at this. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me or feel free to email your tutor. Either one is fine. If you have any questions or you need help putting this together, at the very end of this week, you should have your 3 paragraphs from last week and then tack your conclusion and your introduction onto them on obviously the bottom and the top. And then you will have your Genghis Khan 5-paragraph critique. I know this was a little bit of an unconventional class. I didn't have my kids in on it, but I was kind of pressed for time today. So I hope you all have a great school week this week. And if you have any questions at all, like I said, reach out to me or reach out to one of your other, your tutors with any questions that you have. And I hope that you all are having a great week at home. And I hope that this has been a blessed time for you all. I know that it has its challenges and all of that, but I can't wait to see everybody again when we get to come together, whenever that is. God bless you guys.